Martino.
Are you ready for football?
Monday, October 7th, 2024. Here we go. Trojans Live for your Monday night is on. And yes, our Trojans visit to Minnesota on Saturday night. It didn't end the way we wanted.
After review, it is a touchdown.
I don't know how they could make the call. They had to guess as where the ball was rather than know as where the ball was.
Yeah, there's no view where they could see a football cross.
I'm not sure it wasn't.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure it was.
Tough loss to those stinking Golden Gophers. We'll react with Coach Wiegand Riley tonight and look ahead to Saturday at the Coliseum. Big matchup, number 4 Penn State. We'll get you ready tonight on Trojans Live right now.
The exclusive USC Trojans Coaches Show. Behind-the-scenes insights and breaking news from the student-athletes who play for the Cardinal and Gold. Trojans Live is presented by Monster Energy. Monster Energy, unleash the beast. Unleash the beast. It's time for your host. Live from Los Angeles, here are Jordan Moore, Sean Cody,
and Cody Kessler.
Presented by Monster Energy on ESPN LA 710 across the USC Trojans Media Network. I am Jordan Moore alongside Sean Cody, Cody Kessler, and the head coach, Lincoln Riley. Monster Energy, the official energy drink partner of USC, tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet. Monster Energy, unleash the beast. And our head coach interview is presented by I Trust Capital, the official crypto platform of the USC Trojans. A big week here at USC. Thank you to the head coach, Lincoln Riley, for sitting down with us now. Tough one in Minnesota, certainly. Coach, when we get these small margin games, all anyone ever wants to talk about is the last play of the game, and then this one was, the last play for Minnesota at least was controversial and all that. I'm sort of curious about over the course of 60 minutes and what you saw and what you felt like, the team could have done to maybe separate so you don't end up in the hands of the replay gods.
Yeah, no, I mean, there was, first there was we did a lot of good things as a team, and we put ourselves in position, there late in the fourth to win the game. And so obviously, kind of like the Michigan game, frustrated that, road football is difficult to win, as we saw across the country this last week. And you got to put yourself in position, and then you got to go capitalize. We've put ourselves in position, but you got to go capitalize there at the end, and we're disappointed that we didn't get that done Saturday. Obviously, I think looking at the game as a whole, I mean, to me, there was a few things. I think the first thing you look at is the turnovers, right? We lose the turnover battle 3-1, and I know we had to be pretty aggressive there at the end with the clock running down, But in all 3 turnovers, we're in the offense's plus territory where you're down there in scoring position. You've got good drives going on all 3. So those were massive. I think, we did not do as good a job defensively against the run as we've done this entire year up to this point. And I think, our inability to either, to not stop the run, and certainly even just the field position game and how that played out was really critical because even when we did stop them, typically, the offense had the ball backed up quite a bit, and so you've got to drive it a long way against a good defense as opposed to get some of those stops earlier. Now it's shorter fields, or maybe you get a chance to return some punts. So I didn't think we played, very well in sync there. And I think those were, to me, the 2 biggest factors in the game. We didn't stop the run well, and then we had 3 turnovers in the plus zone. And, I mean, that kind of wiped out all the other advantages that we did have in the game because we dominated third downs. We dominated explosive plays. Like we still did a lot of good things as a team, but those are big things there that are going to equalize it. And then all of a sudden the game comes down to – one play or one call or whatever it is. And like any of them, like sometimes those are going to go your way and sometimes they're not. And typically on the road, they find a way not to. And that's part of playing on the road. Like we all know what it is. It is what it is. And you got to be able to overcome it. We put ourselves damn close, but we didn't get it done.
Yeah, two road losses, obviously tough to play on the road, but some opportunities in the fourth quarter where it looks like we got some points. We're feeling good in both losses, really, where you're feeling good about the game. What's your message to the team, and how to close out those games where you have leads in the fourth quarter, and how do we offensively and defensively do the right things to make those W's?
Yeah, we need to do what we did against LSU, because it was really the same scenario, and we got it done. We had the scores, we got the stops. And so, you've got to in those critical moments at the end of the game. That's where you got to be laser focused. You can't get caught up on the emotions of the game or the excitement because it's the end of the game and you know it's coming down to it. I mean, that's where you've got to hone in, on your craft, on your technique, on the calls, on the communication, even more. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's a learning experience for us. I mean, I think the one, we'll look back, I think, on this, first early stretch of games, and we know, we've put ourselves in position to win every one of them. It's been a tough stretch. It's been good competition, not many games at home, all that. But like at the end of the day, like we need to learn from it, and we need to be better in the second half because of it. There's that battle-tested feel. Like our team is very battle-tested. Like I would argue. I'd be a little surprised if there's another team in the country right now that's more battle-tested than we are. And so we got to make that our advantage going forward. And if we'll handle it the right way, we'll continue to stay positive, continue to have competitive, upbeat practices, continue to improve, develop our roster. It's a long year, and as you see across the country, the parity's different. Things have shifted a little bit, and it's affecting some of the on the field too. And so the teams that stay steady through it and persevere on the back end of it could be really good football teams, and we have a chance to be one of those teams because we have a good football team right now. Like we have a good football team. We have a chance to be a very good football team if we'll handle this the correct way.
Coach, I thought Miller did some things well in this football game, especially early on. Obviously, some throws and some decisions you'd like to have back. How would you evaluate your quarterback's performance now that you got to watch the tape back?
Yeah, I thought he played pretty good. I did. I thought he was. I thought he was pretty steady for us again. He had a lot of really, really good plays, a lot of good decisions. He had a couple of loose throws that he misses that he missed that he doesn't normally miss. And then I think. Listen, the decision there at the end is one that you're going to have to be aggressive at some point. You got a couple of plays left probably, and I'm never going to curb a quarterback from being aggressive in those moments because you got to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what it is, and so that to me is all different situation together. But no, I thought he moved us well. I mean, the offense moved the ball well the entire game. Again, it's the turnovers were the biggest thing that just without the turnovers, it was there was a lot of good stuff on tape offensively, and honestly, there was a lot of things that we did better in that game offensively than we did against some of the previous opponents.
You're listening to the head coach Lincoln Riley on Trojans Live. Coach John Will, I saw a tweet. John Wilner tweeted out that Big Ten teams are 1-8 when crossing 2+ time zones so far since this experiment has begun here with a nationwide conference. When it comes to the travel, and you talked about just road games are difficult in general. Is it that, or are you guys still in an information gathering phase and trying to figure out how to master this whole thing of going cross country and winning games? Where do you stand on that? I mean, it's not a huge sample size, but it's 1-8 is something.
No, it is. I mean, I think there's one. I mean, there's a lot of good teams in this league. So like you go on the road and like you're not just going on the road. You're going on the road to play a pretty good team, most likely, right? So I think that's a big part of it. I think is everybody learning about the travel and the effects on the guys and all that? Because this is, like the NFL player, like he does football and then he goes home with his family or his buddies or whatever. Like these guys' schedules are like jam-packed and probably more jam-packed than they've ever been before. These guys are full-time students, right, on top of, trying to play high-level college football. So some of that, I think, remains to be seen, and I think we're all going to learn a lot going forward. I mean, teams on both coasts and everybody obviously is involved a little bit in it now. I think we're certainly trying to be very attentive to, our travel procedures, the amount of rest these guys are getting, effects on the body, obviously trying to optimize performance and recovery. So we're definitely trying to pay attention to those things. I don't know that I could say, I don't know that I could sit here and say, well, that traveling really made it a lot harder for us to beat Michigan or a lot harder for us to beat Minnesota. Like I don't necessarily feel that way right now, but we're certainly not going to leave any stone unturned, and obviously we want to continue to be better in all phases when we travel.
Coach, we saw on Saturday, spreading the ball around, and obviously Minnesota was doing some stuff to try to limit the big plays, so not really a ton of big shots. But about number one, Zachariah Branch. A critical drop early on in the game, maybe shakes his confidence a little bit, and you get that feeling. But throughout the season, expecting a big year, maybe at that next step. What have you seen from number one, and how do you get him to kind of maybe unlock that next level of the player maybe you're hoping he can be?
Yeah, I think he's trying really hard. He's practicing really hard. I do think he would probably admit he's probably guilty sometimes of maybe just pressing a little bit. But that's a little bit of the evolution from a role player to a starter, and that's and I think Zach is gonna make he's had a lot of really good plays for us. He had a lot of really good plays the other night. He had a bunch of great blocks. He had a couple of really big plays, and I think he's just been like right on the cusp of a few more. So. We have a lot of confidence in him, the player he is now and the player he's going to become. He's got to stay the course. We're certainly going to stay the course with him and keep giving that guy opportunities because he's a heck of a player and he's just going to get better and better from this.
Coach, the offensive line did a great job in the run game on Saturday. They gave Woody Marks a ton of space to work. How much confidence does that give you as a play caller going forward when you have that type of success on the ground?
That was important because that was that's a good defense. They had an experienced front. The two interior guys are really good players. So it's been a big emphasis point. We did do a lot of good things in the run game. That was exciting, and honestly, we ran it well, but we were like agonizingly close to having just a crazy day running the ball. I mean, it was some of the times that we got down, it wasn't by much. And so we were really, really excited about what we did in the run game. Thought the guys played well, prepared hard. I thought Alani Noah had his best game as a Trojan, which was great to see. I thought Elijah took some really good steps. Murphy was really good in the run game. Like we did some really good things that we absolutely can build on.
Well, life on the road is tough, but the Trojans, they can make it difficult for Penn State this week. They're the ones that have to come cross country and come to the Coliseum. USC versus Penn State, presented by Wells Fargo. Get there early. That's part of it. Need to build that atmosphere right at kick. It's a 12:30 kick. We go on at 10:30, so feel free to get in there nice and early. Watch the show up on the video board and get ready for a big-time battle at the Coliseum. USC versus Penn State, presented by Wells Fargo. We will talk about that matchup next with Coach Lincoln Riley on Trojans Live.
They've got some, explosive pass rushers. They're good at linebacker. They've got a lot of length and athleticism in the secondary. And they've had a couple years now where they've been very strong defensively. So it's just a good team. I mean, they're good on both sides of the ball. They're good on special teams. You could tell, that they've kind of been in their program for a while, right? It's the depth of the roster. You see some of those things in terms of when their backups and all that come in. You kind of feel like, all right, this is a pretty seasoned team and seasoned program. So no, they do a good job. They challenge you on all sides. It'll be a good challenge for us.
Coach, 3 games into the Big Ten Conference here. Anything you've noticed different about the conference, or it seems pretty, football is football kind of thing? I mean, we've seen maybe some limited possessions. Anything Big Ten has been different at so far? Yeah,
I mean, the games have maybe felt like they've gone by a little bit quicker. Yeah, the possessions have definitely been limited. And I think that's been a little bit, I think, just the nature of some of the teams that we've played. But that's always a possibility. But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the biggest difference. I mean, I think the other obvious difference is, I think every road atmosphere that you're going to go to in this place in this conference is going to provide challenges, which wasn't always the case in the Pac, not all the time. And so this one is, and and I think to Jordan's point earlier, I think it makes it even more important that when all these Big Ten teams come into the Coliseum, they got to experience the same thing. We got to make this an incredible home field advantage, and I know we will. And so, but I think those are the biggest takeaways up to this point.
Coach, this is another game where your offense started the second half with a statement drive, went 12 plays, 91 yards, backed up, and then finished in the end zone. What has led to some of your success on the offensive side of the football in those opening drives of the third quarter?
Yeah, it's been a strength for us. We've been able to get in there to make some adjustments if needed. The guys have taken it well. I think we've come out with a good mentality, and then those have been important drives, in the last several of these games. So it's good to see us starting that way. We obviously, we had a really good drive to start the game again too, and so we've done a better job here the last couple of weeks of starting out those halves, and now we just got to keep doing it and then be able to sustain it in the end.
Piggybacking a little bit off of Sean's question, what I've noticed from the first 3 Big Ten games, they kind of feel a little bit more like NFL games. You mentioned the limited possessions. You mentioned earlier the field position. They keep trying to back you up, and everything's been hard. I mean, you're going 90, and you're doing it. You only have 3 plays this season of 40 yards or more. Last 2 years at USC, you led the conference in that category. Are you noticing teams that in this league, do they change things where they're just trying to, hey, we're going to make you earn it over the course of the field? Is that the opponents we played, or is that our team? What do you see in terms of explosives?
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of that. And some of that's just been just strategy in particular games, and so I don't know that would group the conference in as a whole with that. And it's part of it. I mean, we had, I can't remember what the number is right now. I mean, we had in the double digits of explosive plays in the game the other day. It's just not the 40 and 50 yard variety. So we were, very efficient in making a lot of big plays. But yeah, I mean, and some of it I think is the defenses at times have tried to limit that and maybe give you some more things underneath. And we've had some opportunities to make some really big ones too that we got to go capitalize on. I know we were talking earlier about the run game. There's 7 or 8 runs in that are a shoestring away from, instead of being 7 or 8 or 9, they're 20, 30, 40 yard runs. So we got to go improve so that we can put ourselves in position to make a few more of those.
Coach, you mentioned a little bit the run game being a struggle on defense, and it's really been up to this point, up to this last game, a really strength of the defense. What was, you think, the major cause of that? Obviously, you're down Eric Gentry. Some injuries happened during the game. What you see anything maybe trying to stretch you out a little more? What did you see in the run game defensively that gave you guys a problem?
Yeah, we didn't command the line of scrimmage on the defensive front like we have in these other games, and so the margins there are thin, and we've got to be more controlling at the line of scrimmage. And then I didn't think we tackled as well at the second level. We missed a few tackles that we just really haven't been missing very often, and so when you combine those two things, all of a sudden the runs that in the previous weeks were 1 or 2 yards, now all of a sudden they're 4, 5, 6, and now the ones that were 4, 5, 6, they start getting out. And so, we got to get back to our fundamentals. We got to really trust it. We got to play better up front. We got to do a better job of putting a cap on things in the back end.
Coach, I truly believe you learned the most about your football team after a loss or after some adversity. What's the message to the locker room this week, getting ready to go face one of the better teams in the Big Ten?
Well, I think first you have to keep perspective. I mean, that's the crazy thing about this game. Again, you change 2 plays this year, then we're 5-0, and we're feeling like we're world beaters, and we're worried about being overconfident. And the reality is the other 99.9% would be the same either way.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's all about perspective for the team in this moment. You can't get too caught up in the emotions or all that's going on. It's like we have a good football team. We have some areas we need to get better. We need to go attack it because we got a phenomenal opportunity this week in the Coliseum that we damn sure don't want to miss. And so we'll have a very motivated and hungry team to prepare this week, and certainly cannot wait for Saturday to get here.
Love it.
Coach, opportunity coming up this Saturday for the entire Trojan family. Get there nice and early. USC versus Penn State, presented by Wells Fargo. 12:30 is the kick. Our Trojan Tailgate show will go on at 10:30. When you've got good beer and good vibes, it's all Buena. Stone Buena Vesa Salt and Lime Lagers, Baja inspired and imported from San Diego, located near you at findoutstonebrewing.com. And Fight on Trojans and Fly On with ONT. Ontario International Airport is a proud sponsor of our USC Trojans. Visit SoCalSoEasy.com to book your journey through ONT today. Best punter in the Big Ten so far this season, Eddie Czaplicki. He's next on Trojans Live.
Presented by Pachanga Resort Casino.
Now back to the campus of USC at Heritage Hall, broadcasting in Los Angeles. Here are your hosts, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Cody Kessler.
Our Best of the Game is brought to you by Old Dominion Freight Line, official freight carrier of USC Athletics, helping the world keep promises. Eddie Czaplicki is our Best in the Game, averaging over 50 yards per punt this season. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Cody Kessler. Eddie, you were excellent last season, but you have come out to start this season just booming the football. Did something click for you in the offseason? Do you just feel good, healthy right now? How do you explain it?
Nothing really changed that much from last year. If anything, my confidence, going into this place, second year here, but I think just consistency all off season, feeling healthy, feeling strong, stacking days on top of each other all off season. I think I just feel good after a full year of doing that. So. Yeah.
And really good in backed up situations this year. Unfortunately, the offense can put you in some situations where, hey, man, you got to kick it and you got to change the field position. What's the key when you're backed up there? Maybe those toes are starting to dance on the line back there. What's the key to keeping calm and delivering a good kick?
I mean, I think it's just kind of nut up or shut up in that time.
All right.
Get you a T-shirt that says that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the back of the end zone, backed up, I'm just thinking about ripping it out, getting it, into their half.
So you have the green light, right? Then we don't care about out kicking coverage. We're going long ball.
Long drive. I mean, my coach wouldn't say that, but that's kind of what's in my head. When they're bringing a full rush, I'm thinking about obviously secure the snap first, but swing away, lights out.
How difficult is it as a kicker or a punter to stay locked in throughout the game when you don't know how many opportunities you're going to get and when those are going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely difficult. Usually punters and kickers, if you get punt a quarter or something like that, you get into a little bit of a flow of the game. But if like this last week, I had one punt, I think in the first half, and then, last one was in the fourth quarter. They needed me, so it's very important that I stay mentally locked in every opportunity, treat it the same. It's kind of, I think the best way to kind of develop that is through practice, treat it the same way in practice. Every opportunity is the same no matter what, because, no opportunity for me is more important than any other, in the game. I have to tackle my responsibilities on the field the same no matter what. So
you're listening to USC punter Eddie Czaplicki on Trojans Live, and you were at Arizona State before us, so nothing but Pac-12 football. Now you're in the Big Ten. They love punting in this league. I mean, honestly, it stood out to me so far this season, the value of punting and field position in this league. It does seem like across the board there's a lot more respect for the value of, hey, we could just take this punt, put someone inside the 10 and make them go 90.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Pac-12, you probably see a lot more shootouts,
They love going for it on fourth down.
Yeah, 50 to 58 score games, stuff like that. But, I think a lot of our games this season, just this last game, it felt like there weren't that many possessions. So every possession is more important. Every time I step on the field is more important than, obviously not, discrediting anything in the past, but in tighter games I think it absolutely is more important, and that's kind of why you see that kind of mentality around fans or programs, however you may be it. So
talk about the different types of punts, Eddie, in this game. Obviously you talked about the long drive, getting out the big driver and knocking one out there. What's the other styles? You got to pin them deep, spin control. What's the different types?
So the Australians kind of popularized the end over end kick, going in. If I'm trying to pin them inside the 10 or inside the 5, I'll point the nose down, I'll hit it end over end. That's a little more predictable in the distance and the way it's going to bounce. But
you're trying to get that backspin on it then.
Exactly, yeah. But most of the time I go just, all traditional spiral punts. You might see a lot of Australians hit end over ends in the open field. That's not something really I've ever done. So yeah, that's
just trying to get that roll on those as opposed to the high hanger that you're trying to hit.
Yeah, I guess with some of those guys, I mean, we saw with Wisconsin, a guy was trying to hit like low liners that kind of skip off the ground and stuff, give a hard time for the returner. But, I've always just hit, the spiral American punt, you could say. So
Sean's ready to be a special teams coach over here. Getting all the inside, man. I'll take it back a little bit. How does one know that they have the gift of being a good punter? Were you always a punter growing up in Little League and high school, or did you play any other positions when you were playing football or soccer or any other sports?
Yeah, so I actually played soccer growing up. I played that for a very long time. I think from like around the age of 4 until I was a freshman in high school. And then high school, I started playing football as well. But even when I was in soccer, I was always a bigger kid. And the way that kind of soccer is in the United States, it's not as developed in its kind of infrastructure around the game as it is in Europe or places like that. So, I kind of looked at myself, I said, I played 1 year of football. I was really good at it. I was hitting touchbacks as a freshman on kickoffs. And, it's really hard to get a scholarship in soccer. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick with football. I'm going to go all out at it. And, it just not really even had a talent, just worked really hard at it. And, I'm grateful for where I am today. So.
Is that when you started freshman year of high school? Was your first year kicking? Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
First year playing football was freshman year of high school.
I don't think you've had a fake at USC. Did you have one at ASU?
I did not. No, they always opted to snap. It's like the personal protector.
Oh, okay.
That's like a running back, a little more athletic than me.
Is the dream, if you could close your eyes and envision, is the dream that the fake is you get to throw it and you got like a perfect, throw out there, or is it you're tucking and running?
Tucking and running.
5
yards.
Once the ball in his hands.
I'll punt the ball in the stands, take the penalty, but oh man, that would be the
What about if your tackling ability? Obviously, you got to have that in your bag too. In case the one breaks loose, we need you to save the day. How's the tackling skills?
Tackling's not great. I had a little bit of a mishap my sophomore year, but now I'm just kind of working the leverage, getting the other guys.
Use that sideline, baby.
Yeah, use the sideline. Kind of learned my lesson through a play a couple of years ago, but I've worked at it. I've done some tackling circuits in fall camp, but yeah.
Just keep hitting those bombs. Those guys will go down there and cover it. You head over to the sideline and get ready for the next one. Eddie Czaplicki has been fantastic this season. Appreciate you taking the time with us. You can see him hopefully mostly on the sideline watching guys score touchdowns, but
nut up or shut up.
But if they need him, he will be there. USC versus Penn State, presented by Wells Fargo, 12:30 kick on Saturday. Don't wait until game time to plan for retirement. Open your free iTrust Capital account today and get your crypto IRA. iTrust Capital is the official cryptocurrency platform of the USC Trojans. And if you want the inside scoop on this game and all things Trojans, be sure to sign up for the 3 Torches, presented by Smart and Final. It's a free newsletter that'll hit your email inbox 3 times a week with game info, player insights, and more. Go to usctrojans.com/3torches and sign up. USC women's volleyball, they had a monster weekend, and we have not 1 but 2 of their athletes coming up next on Trojans Live.
Media Network, presented by Pechanga Resort Casino.
Now back to the campus of USC at Heritage Hall, broadcasting in Los Angeles. Here are your hosts, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Cody Kessler.
Your Women's Spotlight is brought to you by Sprouts Farmers Market, open 7 days a week. Visit your neighborhood Sprouts for good-for-you groceries and great prices on the freshest produce. Mia Tuaniga and Adonia Faumuina. I don't know. How did I do, guys?
Effort. Yeah. Effort. You're almost there. You're almost there.
Just kill me. I only tried 20 times
all good,
in the break, but we'll keep working on it. But you guys are not a work in progress. The program took a real leap over the weekend. A fantastic, home double, the reverse sweep over Michigan. You knock out a ranked team in Minnesota. What clicked? What do you think clicked for you guys this weekend?
I think. Although there are a lot of veterans on the team, a lot of returners, there are still some new components and new girls that bring a lot to our team. And I think every game we just get a little bit closer and our chemistry gets a little bit better. And I think this past weekend, that's what really clicked is, laying it out on the floor and laying it out for each other.
Yeah, both of you. Yeah, there you go. Both of you from Southern California. I'm sure grew
Yup,
up
Long
watching.
Beach, Long Beach.
Was there a little modern day Long Beach Poly rivalry though going between you two, or you don't want to answer that one?
She actually beat us up.
Oh, so you got
all the
bragging rights?
time.
I mean, I don't know about bragging, but
Well, I guess what does it mean for you guys to get to stay close to home and represent the Trojans and be close to your family?
Well, I mean, like being from the city and from Long Beach, like USC has always been like the big school to like look up to, and like just being able to be here and like represent our city and like represent our culture at the same time is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. So.
Mia spoke eloquently and quite beautifully about how you had to sit and be patient in the beginning of your career here at USC. What was that like? What's the athlete side of that?
It was really tough. I mean, coming in as a freshman, like you want to play, like you want to do as much as you can, but like me being injured, I had to figure out ways to provide for the team and give to the team. Like what she said, like servantship in that video, and I just tried my best to embody that throughout my 2 years, and yeah.
I thought that video was awesome too, and you know, yourself now being a senior and a leader on this team, a veteran. What's your message, or how important is it to you to be a leader for some of the younger girls on your team that were once in your position?
I think she kind of hit on it a little bit too. Is servantship. How can I come into the gym every day and try to serve my team? How can I try to bless somebody else? And that comes a lot from our faith, our culture, and our family. Is servanthood is a really big thing, and I think if I can get the girls confident, if I can get them feeling themselves, like then my job is done.
We had Allie on, I think it was the first show of the year, and Mia as a setter, everything's sort of going through you. What's that relationship? We talk so often. Cody's a quarterback. You know, he has to develop relationships with receivers. Is it a similar type thing as a setter where you're developing relationships with your hitters and trying to figure out where they like it, how they like it?
Yeah, 100%. I think just building that trust and understanding what each hitter prefers or when to get them going. It's really important to understand. I mean, I think you know how it is, like if someone's hot, if someone's not, or when should I get this person going? When should I lay off a little bit? It's a game within itself. So
I'll say this: when I was in the locker room after games, maybe if the hitters didn't get as many or the receivers, is there ever any hey, get me the ball out there, I'm open type situations here? Or are you guys pretty cool with that?
I mean, like
Mia's looking.
I think we just have like.
no.
I think we just have that like twin connection.
And the team knows like we have a lot of trust within each other, and I know when someone comes up to me and is like, "Hey, like I got you," I'm like, "All right, I got you right now."
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys are 11-3 to start the season, playing really well right now. What are some of your team goals and also individually some of your personal goals for this year?
I think as a team, obviously, we're trying to shoot for the natty. And volleyball-wise, obviously, get that natty. But culture-wise, how can we keep cultivating a space for every single one of us to be ourselves? Every single one of us to come in the gym and not be stressed on hiding who we are as a person. And I think our coaches do a really good job in helping us get to that space. So that's another one, too.
We were just talking about how Big Ten football is maybe different stylistically than what we were seeing in the Pac-12. How about Big Ten volleyball? Are you guys seeing a different style from your opponents?
Yes. Big Ten volleyball is like really big. Whoa.
The Big Ten volleyball?
It's really big. Sorry.
Double entendre.
No. It's one of the most competitive conferences. I think the most competitive conference in the country, and getting to play all these different kinds of teams, like it's going to be a battle every single weekend, so we just got to be prepared, like coming in every Monday like today. So
Talk about one of the away games. I know the Nebraska game didn't go the way you guys wanted, and I always believe that you learn more about yourself after a loss. What did you guys learn from that type of atmosphere? How cool is it getting to go up against Nebraska, and now that's going to be a new rivalry in this conference?
Yeah, it was really dope. It was definitely a totally different atmosphere.
Something different.
Than we're used to.
I've never seen that many people at a volleyball game.
Yes.
Ever.
How many do they have? Do you know? I've seen them on TV, but I hear the atmosphere in person is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was
different. It was something different.
Yeah.
I've never been a part of anything like that. So
I think it was a really good thing that was one of our first Big Ten games, just to get our feet wet and everything, and understand how can we better ourselves in the next time we're in that atmosphere. So,
One of those games you look back on that you learned a lot from that helped you going forward. Yeah, that's awesome.
And just the stage, too. That's the biggest thing I've noticed since switching this conferences here is they love women's volleyball. Like Big Ten treats it as a major sport, and it just has to feel good that that you guys get this stage, this opportunity for a sport that obviously you both love.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's another blessing. Being able to be in the Big Ten is the media coverage. They do a really good job with this, so it's nice.
My mom actually coached and played volleyball for about 15, 20 years.
Hey,
no way!
My
Where?
first injury back in Bakersfield. I'm from Bakersfield, which is
Bakersfield.
Okay, so
All
actually
right.
my first injury as a kid, I broke my finger when one of our outside hitters. I was in the middle. They were playing
Wait,
pepper.
let me find out you played volleyball too.
I played a little bit.
Okay. Enough.
I played a little bit. We did some stuff in high school too. They do where the football players would play volleyball.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, who's the GOAT volleyball player of all time?
Ooh.
Or is this putting you on the spot? Or you already know?
I don't.
No? Or is there anybody you guys idolized watching growing up that inspired you? And it doesn't have to be someone big time, but someone that you kind of influence. You could be family, anybody.
Your bio says the great Sam Bricio.
Oh.
That might be someone else's bio.
No. It may be wrong.
Oh, you see on the USC athletic site?
Yeah.
Well, actually, for mine though, my personal is my family. Yeah, so my dad, my brothers, my mom. Like,
okay, cool.
They're goats for me. So
yeah,
they
all
all
volleyball
played.
players.
Yeah.
Cool, that's awesome.
I would say the same thing too. Like we both grew up in volleyball families. My dad was a coach. My mom also played, but she was more of a basketball girl. But I grew up watching like my aunties and my cousins. So them.
Yeah, sure. Sam Bricio too. Yeah.
I did not say that.
Good,
I did not say that. Everyone.
USC legend. We can make some edits.
Yeah.
I think it's on the internet.
Yeah.
Quickly erase. You guys need your own podcast. Maybe you guys should host a show.
Interesting.
Mia, can we get past that?
Okay, you're right.
They thought it was a podcast like 3 minutes before we started. Even though we called Trojans. I'm like, no, this is live.
I mean, if you want us to have you know what I'm saying?
What would it be called?
The twins from the LBC. You know what I'm saying?
Coming to wherever podcasts.
There we go.
Wherever you find your podcast.
Soon. Right, Mia?
Yeah.
Right, Mia?
Maybe they'll be our first.
You have a couple matches this week, but the one I wanted to promote, the Crosstown Showdown, USC, UCLA. It's on Sunday. That's October 13th, 4:30 p.m. Hey, beat those Bruins, all right? Come on.
Fours down.
That's how we do around here. Thank you so much. Keely Orr, our Football Roundtable is next on Trojans Live.
Now back to the campus of USC at Heritage Hall, broadcasting in Los Angeles. Here are your hosts, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Cody Kessler.
Ready to take it to the next level? Unleash the beast this college tailgate season with Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet, Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Cody Kessler, and Keely Yore now for our weekly football roundtable. And, Keely, Coach said it. We were there. Life on the road in this league is proving challenging. And, I think, one thing he said that stood out as somebody that was a Pac-12 vet yourself, these what I'll call mid-tier road games are just a completely different animal than they were in the previous league.
1,000%.
Going to Minnesota is harder than going to Stanford. It is farther away. The crowd shows up. Weather could be a factor. It wasn't in this game. But these road wins, every single one of them is going to be like gold because just nothing's coming easy.
1,000%. And to add to that, there's a reason why the off-season strength and conditioning program was called Big Gains. It's because they're bigger and meaner and tougher in the Big Ten. And so I feel like that's showing up as well. But we talked about it on the pod. Like, this was the third time this season where USC's defense had a gotta-have-it situation for the game. And I was curious, Sean, your thoughts as well. How much does being there and doing it before, how much weight does that show in this roster? Because a lot of these guys are young and inexperienced, and to be put in that situation for the third time in 5 games is pretty significant there.
Well, you got to, reps together. It counts, right? Being out there, getting experience, knowing those situations when you guys, and like Coach Riley said, they've been in some tough positions now. So now they kind of know that. Now when they go to the bank again, now would you have liked to learn it against Michigan and then try to figure out against Minnesota? Sure. Of course. But, they didn't get it done now. All right, next, when's the next opportunity that this is going to arise, and we got to put it to the bank. But so many plays in this game. I think these 2 losses for me are tough because you had the game in the fourth quarter, right? Yeah. You're up a score. You have opportunities maybe to put that next score in or put this game away. And yeah, it comes down to one play at the end. But should it come down to one play? They had opportunities before that. Those final rushes at the end or the butt push to get in the end zone. Like, you got to find a way when you have those, when you're up by 7, to push that lead. And this team just hasn't been able to do that yet.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me going back to that is I think the frustrating part is we saw against LSU to start the season, right? One of those got-to-have-it stops or one of those got-to-have-it drives we did in that football game and won, and that kind of helped be battle-tested. But the last 3 games on offense, we've struggled to put away, the games on that side of the football. Against Michigan, we had an opportunity there and we go 3 and out. And then against Wisconsin, I know it didn't hurt us, but we had another opportunity to get back. And I know Miller was coming back with, we thought he had an injury. He comes in at the last second. We go 3 and out there, and then against Minnesota, we have a chance to go down and win the football game. Should it have been there? No. I would have loved for us to, when we were 17-10, to eliminate that turnover, right, and then help our defense in that situation. But that's both sides of the football, right? And we've got to be able to find a way to win those games because the good teams or the great teams find a way to get it done. But I'm with Sean on that. I think this team's going to learn so much from these losses, and I truly believe, as much as we don't want to have them, you learn more about your football team in a loss and when they handle adversity than you do after a win.
Sean, usually we turn to for Cody for the film breakdown, but you were looking at the run concepts for Minnesota. What was bothering USC in that game? Because as you said, it was not something that was really a weakness for the Trojans up until this point.
Yeah, done a really good job. I think the 2 defensive tackles this whole year up until the Minnesota game did a really good job of holding their ground in different guard, tackle, pulling situations, not as much zone stretch. And I think Minnesota started going to a little more stretch plays. They stretched that defense out. And when you're sitting on the line as a defensive tackle on a stretch play or a zone play where you're trying to move these guys around, it buys a lot of time for that running back to just kind of wait back there. And that's what you saw in Minnesota. Taylor was just sitting back there waiting for his hole, then hitting it. So I think in those kind of situations, you got to play those kind of runs, stretches, zone plays. You got to get up the field. You got to create. You got to make him decide running back right now where he wants to go. That helps your linebackers. Just didn't see enough up the field, I think, against those kind of plays. And they learned that they haven't played a ton of offenses. And I think credit to Minnesota for going to that kind of stretch play and trying to open it up. So good job by Minnesota, but it's something USC, the defensive line's got to get better at.
Keely, one nice thing about this league that's different from most of the years of the Pac-12 was that when you lost a game that maybe you feel like you shouldn't have lost, you didn't really have a chance to go make up for it. In this league, all of a sudden the number 4 team in the nation rolls into town, and you can change things in a hurry. And so all of a sudden it's a difficult opportunity, but Penn State's got to figure out how to come all the way cross country and win in the Coliseum, and that's a great chance to flip this thing right back around as we're sitting here, a week from now.
1,000%. And Cody was kind of the therapist on our podcast last night.
Yours or the internet's therapist?
No, the internet. I'm good on that front. But no, because I think, and what Cody was saying, and I'm speaking for you, Cody, so you can jump in at any time, but you got to treat it like the 24-hour rule. I feel like in the era of CFP or bust, fans are kind of just like, well, it's all over, 5 games in, but that's not how football works. Look around the rest of the league on Saturday. So many teams dropped out, and so I just think that like the CFP or bust mindset is probably not the best to go in the era of college football we're in right now. So turn the page. This is another opportunity. And Cody, you played a Stanford team that was top ranked, and things happen in the Coliseum. Who knows?
Yeah, and it was more of a State of the Union is what the fans were asking for. I wouldn't say therapist. I don't think anybody should pay me to be their therapist. But my message was that, and they asked, where do we go from here? And I said, if you're a player, and Sean knows this, you have to have a 24-hour rule, because if you don't and you linger on this game or the thoughts from this game that you should have fixed, Penn State's going to come in here and take care of business because they're going to be ready to go. So I know Coach Riley and this team will be ready. But as a fan, it's tough to do that, right? Because you look back and, we should be 5-0 or we should be 4-1 at least. There's so many things that could have went our way in that football game that didn't, or that we could have done, to be 5-0 right now. And it's frustrating, but as difficult as it is, I had to do the same thing. Take a deep breath, move on. This is a huge opportunity. I'm done looking at expectations this year. Let's just focus on a week-to-week basis and let everything fall as it will.
I do think emotionally you have to take something as a player from that game, and it's got to hurt, right? You drop,
true, 100%.
24 hours to all right, get over it. But I want to see a pissed-off team. I think the level of emotion on this team needs to increase. It needs to bump up. X's and O's are great and putting guys in the right position, but if you're not playing with that edge, this team needs to be pissed off after this game. And having a Penn State team coming into the Coliseum, they should feel a certain way about 100%. This whole game.
I also think people don't realize this yet. This is the era of the 12-team playoff. So let's see what happens. Just keep letting it play out. This is not the era anymore where you lose one game and your whole season is over. We have one more segment to come on Trojans Live.
This is the ESPN LA USC Trojan Media Network, presented by Pechanga Resort Casino.
Now back to the campus of USC at Heritage Hall, broadcasting in Los Angeles. Here are your hosts, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Cody Kessler.
One final segment of Trojans Live on a Monday night. Tough one. Everyone licking their wounds a little bit in the Trojan family, but there is a big game coming up on Saturday, so everyone has to rally together, get in the Coliseum early, and create a moment. Number 4 team in the country coming in. Could be a really special Saturday in the Coliseum. 12:30 kick. That's presented by Wells Fargo. The over-under is presented by Pechanga Resort Casino, a proud partner of USC Athletics. This circles back all the way to my first question to Lincoln Riley, but over under 1.5 possession game on Saturday.
What I want to happen over.
Sure, I didn't ask if you wanted to.
Okay,
happen.
I'm saying over. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be optimistic this week. I've already been everybody's therapist, so I'm going to say over. If we can start fast, and this Penn State team has struggled a little bit starting fast. They did against UCLA last week too. So if we can start fast and get an early lead and force them to play our style of football, I think the over is very possible.
I think it's under. I think it's we've seen 2 out of 3 games been down to 1 possession. I'm sure Penn State's a good team. They're going to try to limit possessions, and it'll be a tight one at the end.
Yeah, exactly what Sean said. I want to take the under.
It does, I think, we were talking about the NFL over the week. It does feel that way to me at times. It just feels like there's so many fewer possessions in these games, than there were in the past. And so you don't even have to stay that close in that case. You make a couple mistakes and then all of a sudden, there you are in a 1-possession game late, and then kind of feels like anything can happen, especially when you're on the road.
And the weight of every possession just feels monumental. Like you do the game with Pete Arbogast, and he makes you feel that way. But
he's out there counting them, Pete. Maybe it's just me and you. Maybe that's why we talk about it so much, because Pete's got us stressed out. I mean, maybe you want a 1-possession game in the Coliseum. That allows the crowd to come in, and it's just you're too much anxiety for you, Cody?
I just think when we play a 1-possession game like we did against Michigan and Minnesota, we play their style of football, right? They can run the football, they can slow down, control the pace, limit those possessions. When we get up early and we play fast, which we need to do, which we struggle with, then we force them to keep up. And I think Drew Allar's a good quarterback, but he struggles to push the ball down the field, so that's our advantage in this game. And obviously it's a lot easier said than done, but we've got to be able to get that done and get a lead early.
Sounds good to me. A fast start. It should be a fun one on Saturday. Either way, USC versus Penn State, 12:30 kick. We will talk to you then. Thank you to everyone for getting Trojans Live set up tonight. I know it was a little bit hectic, but we got it done. We'll see you on game day. Fight on, everyone.
This has been Trojans Live, presented by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Unleash the beast.
Marks the one back. It'll be a throw underneath the lemon, and he will stay on his feet and get to the 10, down to the 7, and I think he's got the first down USC. He does. How do you do?